Welcome back to Term 3, boys. Today we're looking at number patterns. We're specifically looking at addition and subtraction number patterns using whole numbers. We're eventually going to start looking at fractions as well. So I think using the whole numbers, it is a little bit easier. And whilst the content that you see in front of you and in your Stepping Stones book, which is on page 138 and 139 for this lesson, whilst that might not be the hardest thing you've ever had to do, it's just important to wrap our heads around what we're talking about. There's also some specific language that's used that you really need to make sure you're being super spot on with if you're aiming for those higher marks or if you're wanting to get sort of positive results in all of your work. So let's start by looking at this number pattern in the green here. The very first thing I need to do is look at, well, which way are the arrows going? And here I can see that the arrows are jumping up. So I know straight away that we're going to be using the mathematical word increase or increasing. Going up, adding on, means that it's increasing. And I can see that it starts at 259, takes a jump to 267. From 267 it jumps to 275. That's a little bit of a harder one than you normally get, but even just from those two steps, I can see that on both instances, it's jumping by 8 each time. And it's done the same thing on both those steps, so I know that for the rest of the rule, the rest of the pattern, it's going to be jumping up by 8. So if I'm looking at 275 and adding 8 onto that, it's going to be 283. 283 add 8 is going to take us up to 291. 291 add 8 is going to be 299. So right there I've done a good job of continuing the pattern. Down here though, when you see this little bit, this little sentence here in your Stepping Stones book, this is the correct way to write it to describe the rule. You write the terms, and then you either write increase or decrease. In this case, we're increasing. The terms increase by, and then you just write what they're going up in. What are they increasing by? They're increasing by 8. That's the correct mathematical way to write the rule. It's short, sharp, it's simple, it's pretty easy to remember. The terms increase by 8. If you wrote the terms are increasing by 8, I would also give you that correct. But if you said something like the terms go up by 8, the terms jump by 8, unfortunately because you're not using that correct mathematical language, you'd probably lose half a mark or miss out on getting those full marks for the question. Let's jump down and have a look at the red one here. We can see again the arrows are going up, so we know that the terms are increasing, and I can even go and write that in straight away. The terms increase, that's what they're doing, they're going up. The terms is just another way to say the rule or the pattern, but the terms is the correct mathematical way to say it. And on this instance, we start at 153, we go up to 158. From 158, we go to 163. A little bit of a tricky one, but I can see here that on both those instances, we're increasing by 5. And there's even a bit of a shortcut that you can use here, because if you're jumping up by 5 twice, then you're increasing by 10. And you can see that here. We go from 153 down here, then we're at 163, and we go from 158 to 168. So I know without even thinking too hard about it, that this next one's going to be 173, and then it's going to be 178, and then it's going to be 183. I've continued the pattern, I've described it, the terms increase by, write it in as 5. That's honestly all you have to do for patterns. It gets a little bit confusing when you start seeing patterns that go like this. Let's start it at if you see one like that, it's a bit harder to work out, well, what is actually going on here? I can see here that it goes from 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32, and so I can see that every single step that we take, the number is doubling. It's a bit harder to write like that, but you can just write something like the terms double each jump. It gets a little bit harder when it's open-ended, but that might be the kind of question that you find in that part 2 of your test. If you look at the step aheads in your Stepping Stones over the next couple of weeks as well, it gives you a chance to make your own patterns. Try to make something a little bit more creative like that. Try to explain it in the best way, and just remember to please keep in mind this sentence. The terms increase by 8, the terms increase by 5. If you get a number pattern where the arrows are going backwards, instead of saying increase, you would use the word decrease. The terms decrease by a certain amount. Hopefully that's helped. If you watch this video and it's Wednesday night, Tomorrow, come and tell me Queensland rules, and I'll give you a bonus prize. If you're looking at this video first day, you're the best. You're the real MVP. See you later.